My job was to sleep with their dogs in their house. It all started with their boss coming to my room to sleep with me. Then their sons later came to my room to sleep with me anytime that they wished to. They had 5 sons and they were always coming to sleep with me anytime that they had wanted to. Sometimes all 5 of them slept with me the same day. I had no holiday for sex in that house. The only time that I was free was when I was in my menses. I became very sad and all I did was to cry all day, hoping that a miracle would one day take me out from that horrible house one day. But looking at how tall the walls were, and I was also not allowed to go out, I knew my dream of ever seeing the outside world and my family was far from being possible. Now, let me tell you how I got myself involved in this horrible situation. When I was done with high school, I decided to work in order to save money to support my mom, who was a single mother to 5 children. Our father died while working in a factory while operating an industrial machine. So the responsibility of taking care of 5 children was a huge task for my mother to bear. Then one day, while I was returning home after running errands for my mom, I met a middle-aged woman who was probably in her late 40s. She asked me for direction to a very rich woman's house in the area. Well, there was this rich woman who lived in our neighborhood. This woman was very rich. She had so many cars and very beautiful house, but we're all wondering what kind of business that she was doing to be so rich. The walls around her house were so tall that you couldn't hear what was going on in that house. The only thing we saw were different kinds of cars as they went in and as they go out. So when this woman asked for the direction to that particular woman's house, I became curious and decided to take the opportunity to ask a few questions about that house. So I asked her how she was related to the owner of the house, and she said they were business partners. I asked her what kind of business they were into. Then she paused for a while and asked me why I wanted to know. I then told her it was because I was looking for a job, and if their line of business was legit or legitimate, I would like to work with her. She looked at me from head to toe and asked me how old I was. At the time, I was 17 years. She then opened her purse and pulled out a complimentary card from it and gave it to me. She then asked me to call her after 1 week since she was traveling out of the country and she wouldn't be available until then. She then gave me some money and said it was to show appreciation for giving her the direction to the woman's house. Well, a week later, I called the number on the card, but instead of hearing her voice, I heard a man's voice. I then asked about the woman, and a voice on the other side of the phone told me that she had traveled and she wasn't available. So 2 weeks later, I called the number again, and this time around, she answered the phone. I then reintroduced myself to her, and she asked me what kind of job that I like to do. I then told her that I could do virtually everything because I wanted to raise money to help my mom and later attend fashion school. She then told me that the only job that she could offer me was a house help job in another city. I told her that I could do it as long as the people would pay me for my services. I then told my mom about it, and she asked me to pray about it before going for the job. Then 2 weeks later, my mom told me that she had a bad feeling that the job that I was going to do would be risky, so I shouldn't go for it. But I told her that I was just going to be a domestic worker, so there was no need to be worried, or there was nothing to worry about. Then after further persuasion, she allowed me to go. The first time that I arrived at the woman's house, I realized that her house was just like the same house that was in my neighborhood. The walls were so tall and there was heavy security everywhere on the compound. Then I was ushered into a room, and not long after, a lady came with food which I ate. She later told me to take my bath and shave my armpits and my private area, and I was wondering why I would need to shave my armpits and my private area for a house job, but I did it anyway. A few minutes later, she came back with different clothes and very expensive perfume and asked me to change into one of the clothes and spray the perfume on my body. I was so naive, and I was thinking that my new boss perhaps wanted me to look clean and smell good, and that was why I was being given new clothes and new perfume to spray on my body. So I changed into one of the clothes and I used the perfume that she gave me, but after a few minutes, I realized that I started feeling so funny down there. I suddenly felt a strong urge for sex. I have never had sex before, but at age 17, I knew what it meant to have sex. Then the lady came back again with a very tall, dark man, and without even saying a word to me as to why the man was there, she left the room and closed the door behind her. The man raised my dress I was wearing, then pushed me onto the bed, and that was how I lost my virginity. I couldn't say a word. I couldn't shout. It was as though my mouth was shut. I just allowed him to have his way with me. Then when he was done, he left the room without saying a word to me. Then the lady who gave me the clothes came back and told me to take my bath and wait for her. After an hour, she came back again with another perfume. This time around, she sprayed the perfume on my skin and on the clothes that she brought. Then I realized that though I saw everything that was happening around me, I just couldn't open my mouth to ask her any question. It was like my mouth was closed or as if I was hypnotized. I just sat on the bed like a zombie and I couldn't explain what she did to me or what was going on. A few minutes later, two white men came into the room and without saying a word to me, they took turns to have their way with me. All I did was to lie down emotionless while they did whatever they had wanted to do with my body. I was very much aware with what was going on around me, but I couldn't react or fight it. Then the following day, the same lady came back again and asked me to take my bath and to eat the food that she had brought me. Then before she left the room, she told me again to wear some of the clothes that she had brought and use the perfume. But this time around, I realized that I could speak, so I asked her about the woman that I came to see. She only smiled at me and repeated her earlier statement. She said, "Take your bath and eat your food, and I'll come back soon." Then she left the room. So I took my bath and ate the food that she had brought to me, but this time around, I didn't use the perfume because I felt there was something very funny and something very special in that perfume. Then she came back in with yet another man and left the room. This guy also didn't ask me anything. All he did was to start raising my dress, so I asked him what he wanted. He immediately got furious, slapped me and pushed me onto the bed. I asked him not to get close to me until he told me why he was in my room trying to raise my dress. He then removed his belt and began to beat me with it. At this point, I was jumping from one side of the room to another just to avoid being lashed with his belt. Then I managed to get hold of the belt and I used the hook to beat him until he started crying for help. Then two of the security men rushed into the room and saw me beating the man with the belt. They then seized the belt from my hand and helped the man to get out of the room. Then after that incident, the lady who has me bringing me the food always made sure that he used the perfume on my body herself almost every single day. And each time that she sprayed that particular perfume on my body, I will lose my ability to talk. Then I'll have the strong urge for sex. And different kind of men will come to my room to have their way with me and leave without saying a word. This continued for months. The only time that I was free was when I was in my menses, and during that period, I'll be taken to another room for a whole week until I was done with my menses. Then they will transport me back to my room when I'm finally done. But one day, something very horrible happened in my room. At this stage of my life, I have come to understand that I have been introduced into prostitution and I wasn't even benefiting from it. So I made up my mind that I will either run away from that horrible place or I will benefit from this trade that I have been introduced into. Then one day, a man who was probably in his late 50s came to my room, and after having a good time with me, I asked him to pay me. He told me that he had already settled the bill with my madam, so he had nothing to give me. I then became furious and asked me to pay me or I wouldn't allow him to leave the room. He got dressed, and when he was about to leave, I used one of my G-string panties to hold his neck from behind and held on very tight. He tried to free himself from my firm grip, but I held on very tight and pinned him on the floor, demanding that he either pay me for my services or I wasn't going to allow him to leave the room. Then he managed to get up from the floor and try to run out of the room, but I held his shirt and pulled him back. At this point, the two of us got physical with each other. I used everything that I could lay my hands on in the room to hit him while he was also trying to hit me with his hands. Sadly, he managed to give me a very heavy slap across my face and I fell down on the floor while he quickly tried to run away. Well, I wasn't going to let him go just like that without paying me, so I got hold of his leg with the little strength left in me and pulled him down on the floor and began to fight him in the room. Then while we were pushing and hitting each other heavily the best way that we could, I pushed him and his head unfortunately hit the edge of the bed. And the next thing I saw was blood everywhere in the room. I got so scared, and at this point, I started shouting for help. Two of the security men later came in and met the horrible sight. They asked me what happened, but I had no energy left in me to explain myself, so they immediately carried the man away. Well, I later went ahead to clean the blood on the floor, and no man came into my room the rest of the night. Then the following day, the lady who has been bringing me the food and the clothes came to tell me that the man had died, and Madame was very furious about what I did. Well, I was later told that I would be punished for killing a client, and honestly, I was ready for whatever punishment that they had wanted to give me because I was tired of sleeping with different men each night. Then 2 days later, I met the woman who was in charge of the house for the first time after so many months of coming to that house. She looked furious and spoke with anger and authority. She said, since you want to be a house help, I will get you a house help job so that you stop killing clients who come here. Then 2 days later, I was asked to pack my things, and that was how I entered into a new phase of horror and terror. A Lebanese man came for me and told me that I was going to be his house help in his house. When we got to his house, he introduced me to his wife and his 5 children who were all boys. I was then given a room and later told of my job description. A whole month passed and everything looked peaceful and normal in that house while I concentrated on my house help duties. Then one day, after I was done with my duties and went to my room to sleep, I heard a knock on my door, and when I opened my door, I saw my boss standing in front of it. He commanded me to lie on the bed and remove my clothes. I hesitated and told him that if he wouldn't leave, I would tell his wife about it. He laughed and said his wife was aware about it and I should always be prepared to allow him to sleep with me as and when he wanted to. And that was how this man started to sleep with me. He would come to my room to sleep with me as and when he pleased. I was not allowed to leave the house because they had someone buying groceries and any other thing that they needed, so I wasn't allowed to step out of the house. Then after 3 months in that house, the man had stopped coming to sleep with me, and I thought I was finally free. But no, I was totally wrong. My problems were yet to begin. Then one day, I was in my room when their eldest son came to my room and demanded to have sex with me. I asked him to go away before I report him to his father, but he told me that his father was aware of this arrangement and I should be prepared to see his other siblings also come to sleep with me anytime that they had wanted to. So this guy slept with me and left. The following day, the second born also came. Then the third born also came. The fourth born also came. And what hurt me most was when their last born, who was only 14 years, also came to sleep with me. And this continued for 2 good years. Sometimes all 5 of them will come to me the same day and interestingly sleep with me. Their mother was aware about everything that was going on in the house, but she said absolutely nothing about it. So, after 3 horrible years in that house, a new lady was brought to the house as a house help, and so I was just in the house like a sex machine for this family. They come and have their way with me as and when they wanted to. I was then moved from my room to another part of the house, which was quite apart from the family building. Well, my encounter with this new girl revealed that the boss was not sleeping with her, so maybe that was why the boss stopped sleeping with me. Then one day, I got the shock of my life when the boss visited me in my room and told me that now my duty was to sleep with their dogs. What? Sleep with your dogs? I asked, and he replied, yes. You are no longer going to sleep with my children, and my children will no longer come to your room. It is now your duty to sleep with the 3 dogs as and when I wanted you to sleep with them. Then one day, he brought one of the dogs into my room and asked me to remove my clothes and lie down on the bed. I did it reluctantly because he came with a very big cane in his hand and I knew what it was meant for. So I went to lie down on the bed, and that was how I started sleeping with their dogs in their house. So almost every day, either the boss or his sons will bring one of the dogs to sleep with me, and this happened for a whole year. I became so tired that all I want was to leave that house badly. Then their eldest son got married and they had a very big party. The party happened for 3 days and the house was full with a lot of people everywhere. On the first and second day, my door was locked and so I couldn't even come out to witness the ceremony. But on the third day, when the other house help brought my food, she forgot to lock my door. So that was how I sneaked out in the night while everybody was partying and they were having so much fun. And that was how I escaped from that wicked environment called a house. I later went to the hospital to run a series of tests to make sure that I was okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't. So I had to take a lot of medication to cure a lot of illnesses that I cannot even mention here. I am currently traumatized, and each time that I sleep, I feel like somebody will come and knock on my door and ask me to remove my clothes so that they could have their way with me. And the most painful part of it all is when I came back, my mother had died and she had since been buried by my siblings. And this continued to haunt me every day. I couldn't even say my last goodbyes to her. Right now, I feel so sad. I feel so empty. I feel so traumatized, and I have to start life all over again after all those wasted years. Wow, guys, I had chills all over my body while reading this story. And I sincerely hope that this lady finds peace and the courage to navigate through life after all those difficult things that had happened to her and all those horrible moments that she had to go through. Guys, what do you make of this horrible story? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section, and please do well to subscribe to the channel, and please don't forget to watch my other videos as well. And now to our word for this story. Our word for this story is egregious. Egregious simply means extremely bad or horrible in a noticeable way. For example, the lady was put through an egregious situation at work. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. It's bye for now. Our word for this story is egregious. Egregious simply